Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. Today I have something pretty cool to share with all of you. It's something I picked up at the thrift store this past, well, it was a whole weekend ago because this week has been really busy. So, I just wanted to share it here right now in the morning before whatever happens today happens, because I know I have a little bit of time. So, what is this item? It is this old Micron PC. It has an original Pentium inside. Geez, I already forgot the model of it, but it has some additional things, as you can see. So let me bring it up to the table here. Okay, we got it on the table here. A little better lighting, I suppose. Anyway, here's the front of the PC. As you can see, it has some type of CD drive. There's no brand on it. We do have an HP tape drive. Does it say Trevin? I think that's the kind of tapes that it accepts. Of course, we have a floppy disk. We have a, well, there's nothing really else here. I do believe there is a speaker behind this grill. Micron, I believe, it's the same exact Micron that makes the memory today. In fact, here's one of their more modern products. There you can see their name if it's focusing, right below Crucial. I really do like Crucial branded things, so it was kind of neat to find a old product from this company. I think they made these computers up until around 2008 or something, and then they got rid of that division. But this is, I believe, one of the original ones, because it's from 1995. So again, there's the front of it. It's in really good shape. It doesn't have a lot of yellowing going on, as you can see. Here is the back of the machine. We have the power supply on its side. Looks like it originally came with MS-DOS. Made in Idaho. You have a bunch of serial ports. Of course, your parallel. Excuse me. It says keyboard here, and the ones that I found online just have one big port for really old style keyboards. But here we have two, so I'm guessing one's for your keyboard and one's for your mouse. Not entirely sure. A little different, fits in the hole a little weird, but that's what's in here. We have, let's see, some type of VGA graphics card, sound card. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but sound because of the ports on it. And then a modem at the bottom with little dip switches. I'm really into this kind of stuff. I love watching videos of it on YouTube, but I don't know a ton about vintage computers. I know more about vintage Macs, kind of. Not back too far. I think I suppose they're vintage nowadays, but they really weren't at the time. But I enjoy working with the Macs that are from about 99 to 2010. Everything in that area I enjoy working on. So you got kind of old, you know, like iMac G3 up to some of the more slightly modern stuff in 2010. But that was a great time. Everything was easily changeable. You just don't see that anymore. So, yes, that's the side. Let me put it on its side, and we'll take a look inside, because the style of case design here, you have two clips, and there should be a thumb screw here, but there isn't one, and the whole thing slides off. Okay, so here it is, opened up. It's in very good condition. The only place that I see dust is up here by the little tiny case fan, but everything else is in really good condition. So let's start up here. We have the power supply. As you can see, it has a actual 120 volt power switch, so you know it clicks in and then you unclick it to click it out. I'm sure that was common on these older machines, but that's our power supply. Looks like a standard size anyway. There's a little bit of dust on there, but that's really about it. Right above that we have the carriage for two hard drives that are in here. I'm sure it didn't come with two. I'm sure somebody added one. But, what does that say? Fujitsu is that one. I'm not sure what the other one is. It's not plugged in. Now when I originally opened this up at the store, some of these ribbon cables were just unplugged sitting in here, and it doesn't look like anybody ripped them out because all the pins were absolutely fine. But maybe the person just selected what they wanted to run at the time. So it'll be real interesting to see what's on here. Anyway, we have the really old power connector for the motherboard there. I don't remember what style that is. These are what, IDE cables? Wow, I remember something. At least I think that's what they are. Okay, moving on down, we have our PCI slots. And, geez, I don't know, and I'm probably going to get it wrong. Are these ISA or something? Like I said, I don't do much with these older machines. I'd love to, but finding this one for $5 at Value Village was a good deal, and I didn't want to pass on it. It looked really great, so I wanted to dive into something I haven't gotten into just yet. So anyway, enough of that. This is the video card. It's what does it say there? Stealth 64 on the top. I don't know if it focused on that. And then we have a sound card. Let's see here. I don't see a name on it. There's something there. It says Creative Labs. So that's our sound card, I'm sure. There obviously was something here, but they took it out and put the screw back in, or maybe they just never had a blank for it. Then we have our modem, obviously a much older one. We have our RAM, not sure the configuration of it, but it is fully populated, so I'm guessing somebody did do an upgrade at some point in time. We have our socket 5 CPU. Let me try to cover up some of the light there so you can read on the socket. It does have a little tiny fan on it. It's a little bit dirty, but it's definitely not bad. Or super bad, I should say. A big heat sink on the and some components there. Look at all the socketed chips. Very cool. And in the corner there is the motherboard type. Hopefully it focuses on that. Of course, we have the floppy disk drive. This wasn't originally plugged in. We have the tape drive in there. As you can see, it's not plugged in either. And then the disk drive. That wasn't plugged in either, the CD drive. But I plugged all those things in. Now, I have not turned this thing on. I want to unplug all the power sources from the power supply and just plug in the power supply and turn it on, because I see these capacitors, and from my not so much knowledge, but I believe they're prone to not being good. So I wonder if any are inside of the power supply or just incredibly old and didn't survive throughout the years, and I don't want the power supply to make everything else unusable. So I'll just unplug everything. I don't know if not having a load on it will make a difference, but it's worth a try anyway. And then I'll turn it on and see what we get. But yeah, that is the insides there. I don't know if I shared the sticker already, so here it is. It's a P75PCI, I believe, for the model. I don't think it's a 1, I think that's an I. And that's a serial number. It was made in 7 of 95. So that is the inside. Now, many of these ports are quite old, and the stuff to communicate with them I don't necessarily have here. They're all back home at my parents' house. But anyway, I had to go get some things so I could, plug in a keyboard and a mouse and try to use this wonderful PC. So I ended up going to REPC. It's a wonderful place here in Seattle. They have all kinds of used computer components. I mean, you could find these old computers there. Now, they know what they're worth, of course. So you definitely won't find them for $5, being functional anyway. But you can find these cards, big bins of RAM, any component that you see in here you can find there. It's just an amazing place. I found all kinds of really cool, even Apple stuff there. So if you're in the Seattle area and you haven't checked out REPC, I definitely recommend it. They have a couple locations. I usually go to the Seattle one to find these kinds of things. Anyway, I picked up this old Dell Quiet Key keyboard. I think it was like $2. They weren't sure if it worked, but that didn't matter. It's for $2, it's worth a try. They had all kinds of what is this, PS2 keyboards and mice, but they didn't have a lot of mice. I just picked out this Dell one because it matches a Dell that I have back home, so at least there's a matching mouse for that computer. The reason I picked out this Quiet Key, it's nothing special, but it's the same color as the machine. It's definitely dirty, needs a little clean. Like I said, I don't know if it works, so we'll find out. And then, so we got our 2 ways to talk with it. I also picked up this adapter. It's 2 adapters, naturally. You got your serial to PS2 for keyboard or mouse, and then a PS2 to USB here. So we have a couple different ways of talking with the computer, a little more modern wise. Picked up this USB PCI card. It says Radio Shack on the back, but if you look up this model, you can find the drivers and whatnot. There's a whole bunch of different brands that this was under that I saw there. They just have bins of these things. Compaq. This was the only Radio Shack one I saw. That's why I picked it up. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But there's all kinds of brands, and they all look the exact same. So I picked up that one. I also found a brand new one in box. It only has 2 ports, but the reason I wanted to get the brand new one in box is because maybe it has a driver CD, and maybe I need that to get it to work, because maybe the drivers that I can find online don't work with it. But this should have a CD inside, I'd assume, to at least get some type of interface working. And I mean, 2 ports is better than none. But they were the same price, that don't matter. So yeah, a brand new PCI USB adapter. Let's see here. Windows 98 and above. I'm not sure if this thing supports that. It says it has DOS on it, but I've seen some online that run Windows 95. I don't think I've seen any that do 98. But yeah, so I picked up these things from the used recycled computer place. I was so happy to find these things just so I can tinker around with this computer. So that is what we have. And I'm really excited because this thing is in really good condition to play with this and get it up and functional. This will be really cool. And it looks like somebody took very good care of it. So awesome. We got the peripherals. We got the computer. I'm sure I have a cord somewhere, and I know I have a spare monitor and a VGA cable, so that's not a problem. And let's go ahead and see what we can do with it. Okay, every single one of these clips seems to be like an hour apart for whatever reason. But we're back here, and I got it plugged in. We got our power plugged in. Let's make sure it's set to 115. Very good. We've got it going over here to our little power strip. And it does have a little breaker, circuit breaker on it. I don't know how many amps it is. But we do have some type of protection there. And it's plugged into the wall. So, let's give it some power, shall we? Well, it's on. The little neon's burned out in here, but it's on. Nothing's blown up. Let's push the button. Well, I hear a fan. It's definitely blowing air out, so that works. But there's nothing else, obviously, because It's all unplugged, but nothing's going kapoof. So this is good. And it turned off. You must have a time delay on it or something. Or, you know what? It's probably the capacitor still holding a charge. And that's why the fan didn't turn off right away. Well, okay. Nothing went kaboom. So I'll plug some things back in, some basic things. Hard drive, power to the motherboard naturally. I think that goes to the case fan up front. And we'll see what we can get out of it. Of course, we got our cables here. I got a monitor. Hopefully the resolution will work with it. I guess we'll see. And yeah, we'll see what we can do. Okay, so this is what we got hooked up right now. We got the one hard drive here on the top hooked up. Power to the motherboard. Power and data to the floppy drive. Power back to the, I'm guessing, the little CPU fan, a little fan up front. We have a monitor. I believe this is like 1440 by 900. So I guess we'll see if it displays a resolution that big. Or maybe it'll just scale it to fit, I don't know. Hopefully we get some type of input in general. Of course we have the keyboard that I picked up. I did not hook up the mouse, I just put the keyboard in there. And yeah, let's see what we get. So let me turn on the power here. Power's good. Display light is on. The reason this display doesn't have a stand is it was on a Visa mount before, so. Okay, let's see. Let's hit the button, shall we? Something sounds wonderful. Well, we definitely have the fan, but we don't have any output. Trying to change the input. No. So there's no video. We do have a LED on down here. That's our hard drive. Maybe that hard drive doesn't have anything to boot. I don't know. I'm going to play around with it a little bit. See if I can get anything on the screen. So I disconnected the hard drives and took out some of the RAM and reseated it, and we at least got to a BIOS. So something is working here. Obviously that is definitely not the date or the time, but I'm sure the clock battery's dead wherever it is located on here. Somewhere, I'm sure. So anyway, that's what we have. Let's see here, and the keyboard does work, so that's good. Geez, I need a stand for this. Let me figure something out. Oh, I actually heard something beep for once in here. So we have a Pentium 75 megahertz. Of course the battery's dead. Press F1 to resume. I don't know what it's resuming. There's no system found. So yeah, I'll turn it off, plug in one of those drives again, and see what we can get. I don't remember where we left off last, but I can get it to turn on, but the hard drive's disconnected, but it still can't recognize the floppy drive. I can get it to turn on a couple times with the hard drive spinning up and the IDE cables connected, and it would get to the BIOS, but of course every single time it always says the clock battery, and the real-time clock isn't working. And I'm assuming this is probably a big issue as to why we can't get it to load anything off of the hard drives or find anything. So, as you can see here, we have a socket with nothing in it, because that is our chip. And I did some research on this thing, and it basically has a battery and your real-time clock all in one. And according to some videos and pictures online, if you scrape away at pins 4 and 8, you'll find the pins for the battery. So I'm going to scrape away at that very gently. I started here, and see if I can find those pins. And hopefully that'll bring it to life, because it does boot up, even with all the RAM. It just can't talk to the drives for some reason. So that's where we're going to stop for now. Is I'll start working on this thing. Okay, so where are we? Well, I have since modified the clock battery deal here and exposed the terminals. And I didn't have any button cell batteries, so I have two AA's here making 3 volts. They're all electrical taped up, so they're not touching anything. And that is working, believe it or not. It is keeping time. So that's good. But it hasn't fixed the issue of finding a drive and actually booting. So, if you connect any of the hard drives correctly to the headers here, the hard drive does not spin up and the machine does not get to a BIOS. It just does nothing, except for the fan spinning. If you have the disk drive, the floppy disk drive plugged in all correctly, it'll boot up, but it won't detect it. I read some things, thought I'd take out these cards here. Of course, I've got to keep the video one in so I can see what's going on. But I took out the modem and the sound card here, and basically have nothing connected except for the parallel port, which nothing's plugged into it anyway, and the graphics card. So if you turn it on, we do get a signal. There we go. You can see everything here. See, it doesn't see drive A. Well, of course it's not plugged in. And of course there's nothing plugged into the where the hard drive would be either. So I don't know if it has something to do with how the BIOS is set up. I've tried different settings in it, but like I said, I'm not as knowledgeable with this as some other things. So we do get this far. I just can't get it to see anything. It's still thinking about something. There we go. So as you can see, I set the date and time, just something old, but it's keeping it. Before it was a bunch of mess. It sees all the memory. I have both of these turned on because I was messing with it. If we get this out of the way, if we go down here, we can set that to none because I don't have anything plugged into it, but I do want something plugged in here, and it just says to use user if you don't know anything about the drive, so that's what I have set up. Before it was just disabled. So that's all that. In the advanced here, there's the integrated peripherals. I just set everything to auto because I don't know what ports any of this is on. Of course, there's different COM ports and stuff, so I have no idea. So, and there's nothing plugged into the serial except for this keyboard. Let me get out of that. Plug and play OS, whatever that is. You know, I'm guessing, I don't know what's on these hard drives, so we'll get out of that. So that's where it sits. So let's go ahead and exit, save changes and exit. Okay, so that's where it's going to sit. So let's turn it off. And watch, me doing that is what's hurting it for all I know. Now we got power plugged into the floppy drive here. We have our little notch to tell us where to put it. And they do have a little notch on there to show you what way it needs to go. So we'll get it on there real gently. Push it down on. Okay, so that is connected. We have our cable. I'll show you what we get this time. We should get it to turn on, and but it won't recognize the drive. Probably me turning it off like that when it's still thinking like this isn't helping either, but like I said, I have no idea. So obviously we can get it to boot up with that plugged in, but we can't get it to do anything else. So see there, it beeped twice. You can hit F1 to resume, but it looks for an operating system, and of course there isn't one. So we do get that far. Okay, so let's turn it off. Let's connect some power to one of these two hard drives. I have confirmed they both spin up. They both sound fine. So we got that plugged in. We have our notch here. We have our primary. The notch goes up, so that's what we will do. Very good. Okay, now watch as it does nothing. Notice how the hard drive doesn't spin up. If I turn this off and pull out the IDE cable, just give it power, it'll spin up. But it doesn't spin up now, and most certainly doesn't get to the BIOS anymore. So I wonder if something's wrong with the controller for IDE, the interfaces. Maybe there's an interface problem. Maybe these jumpers do something. I have no idea. But we got the clock fixed. Just can't get it to recognize anything. So interesting. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure why any of this is the way it is. But I've been slowly pecking at this all day just to see what I can get for results. But this is where it sits currently. This is what it does with the hard drive plugged in. Of course, if you plug in the IDE cable backwards, it does spin up, but of course it doesn't recognize it because it's sending data the wrong way. Obviously the plug's backwards. Either way, this is where it sits. It just spins and does nothing else. I don't know. If anybody has suggestions on what should be done in the BIOS, the clock battery thing's good. I thought maybe that would be a problem. Maybe the cables are bad, but I don't think so. I've tried a couple. I'm not entirely sure. But that's where it sits with this thing. We'll see where it goes from there, but I guess that's where we're going to set it down for the moment. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this probably quite long video of trying to figure out what's wrong with this thing, or why it doesn't boot up or anything. But I'm interested to see what you all have to say, and thanks for watching.